Good evening, everyone. Welcome you on One Mark Solutions platform. And as you know, we are conducting live sessions for different subject and different chapters with the subject expert from different parts of country. In this series today, we are going to discuss about the assertion region and case study questions from chapter 9, that is sustainable development, environment and sustainable development for Indian economic development. As you know, for this session, we have Madam Shilpi Taneja from uh, Noida with us. Madam, I welcome you on behalf of Unmark Solution and on behalf of
Yeah,
all
of
the
all the
viewers
viewers
presented.
presented.
Uh, Madam Taneja is working as a senior coordinator academics in Holly International Public School and have taken so many sessions on this platform in last couple of months. I think Madam have taken more than 15 sessions on assertion region and on Indian economic development, microeconomics, statistics as well as for the macroeconomics. So today our topic is discussion about the question and answer from case study as well as assertion and region from environment and sustainable development, that is chapter 9 for Indian economic development class 12. I would like to all the viewers kindly subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that they can get the information about the upcoming webinars, as well as they also can get the various other sessions videos on the playlist of this channel, so they can visit for the more videos, and PDF will also be shared after this session. Now I'm handing over to Madam Taneja. Ma'am, please.
Good evening, everyone. Today we are here with the chapter Sustainable Development and Environment. As you all know, we are discussing the assertion and reason type questions which are recently introduced by CBSE in class 12th economics. It was already there with other subjects, but now they have introduced it in economics as well. So what is assertion and reason type questions? Let me tell you, beta. Assertion will be a statement in which you have to you have to check whether the statement is right or wrong, true or false, and the reason will be the statement which may be defining the assertion, which may be related to the assertion, or which may not be related to the assertion. So we will be having four options in this sequence only. So option A will be telling that both the statements are true and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Option B will be giving us both the statements true but reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. In option C, assertion is true but reason is false, and for option D, if assertion is false and reason is true. So these will be the options. So let's start with question number 1. As you can see on the screen, assertion says the environment fails to perform its vital function of life sustenance and this results in an environmental crisis. I hope you understand this, as we are all are facing the environmental crisis these days. We are facing global warming, we are facing ozone layer depletion, we are facing so many things because of the excessive use of the resources which are given to us by the environment, and we are more and more using or exploiting the resources, and the rate at which they should regenerate is becoming lesser. What does that mean? That our demand of the resources is increasing constantly, but the supply in comparison to the demand of the resources is becoming much less, right? So assertion is true because environment is failing to perform its vital. What is the vital function of environment? Is to sustain life. Because of the environmental crisis, now environment is failing to perform that function, and reason is telling that many resources have become extinct. Why extinction is going on? Because of the excessive use of the resources, and waste generated are beyond the absorptive capacity of environment. Now let me tell you this absorptive capacity. It means there is a capacity in the environment to absorb our wastes, and that is also mandatory, that this absorptive capacity should be much more than the creation of the wastage by human being. Then only we will be able to live in the environment. Otherwise like as you all know, we are facing smog. So many months we face smog in Delhi and NCR, or in other countries also. So at that time it becomes difficult to even breathe in the environment, isn't it? So that means the creation of the pollutive pollution is much more than the absorptive capacity of environment. Absorption of the pollution is much more than the creation. Creation is much more than the absorption of the environment. So reason is also true. So both the statements are true and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. So we can say we'll go for option A in this question. Now question number 2. Assertion says global environmental issues such as global warming, ozone depletion also contribute to increased financial commitments for the government. Because of these problems, now government has to put the efforts for decreasing this. So again it is a financial, government has to spend over the measures which can be created for the reduction of these problems. So it is a financial burden over the government. This is true. Reason says the environmental issues of waste generation and pollution have become critical today. That is also true, but this statement is not at all giving any explanation for the assertion. So we can say assertion is true, reason is true, but reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. So we'll go for option B in this. Now question number 3, sustainable development. I hope you all understand the meaning of this term, as you all are reading this statement since class 9th or 8th in your science subject. So what is sustainable development? It is that we are using the resources in such a way that we can save the resources for the use of future generations also. That is sustainable development. So assertion says sustainable development is one which directly concerned with increasing the material standards. ध्यान से समझेंगे, material standards of living of the poor at the grassroots level. That means we should not destroy the resources, or we should not make them so difficult to achieve that poor may not have it, okay, because we are talking about the natural resources. So that's true. Reason says the present generation can promote sustainable development through conservation and promotion of the natural resources. That is also true. हमारी जो present generation है, how can we promote this sustainable development? By conserving and by promoting the natural resources. So both the statements are true, but reason is not explaining the assertion. So again we will go for option B in this question. Next question says India is naturally endowed with a large quantity of solar energy in the form of sunlight, which is true. We have sufficient amount, we get sufficient amount of sunlight so that we can use enough of solar energy, right? Reason says plants use solar energy to perform photosynthesis, which is again true. There is a process in which plants make their prepare their food in the presence of sunlight. So that is also true. So this is a definition of photosynthesis, but it is not the explanation of assertion. So both the statements are true, but reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. So we'll go for option B in this. Now next question says assertion, the environment has an important function of supplying resources. Environment का ही function है resources को supply करना, both renewable and non-renewable. Renewable resources कौन से होते हैं? Which get renewed themselves. Non-renewable होते हैं which take lots of time to get renewed. Right? So reason says the environment is able to perform its function as long as the demand on these functions is within the carrying capacity. What does that mean? Reason is telling that environment will only be able to perform the function of supplying resources until and unless the demand for these resources is within the carrying capacity of the environment. Means the rate of regeneration is higher than the rate of usage of those resources. So both the statements are correct in themselves, but the reason is not the correct explanation, because that statement is only telling us that environment is having the function of supplying resources, whereas in the reason we are talking about the carrying capacity of the environment. So both the statements are true, but reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. Next question says, environmentalists have used the term sustainability in an attempt to classify the defined balance between economic growth on one hand and environment conservation on other hand. Environmentalists jitne bhi hain, why they are using the word sustainability? Because they are talking about the economy, they are talking about the resources. So they say that there should be a balance between economic growth. All right, why we are using these resources? We are somehow using them in further production, in the economy, for the growth, for providing them employment. So this is leading to economic growth on one hand, but on the same hand they are talking about the conservation of the environment. So that is true statement. When we talk about reason, it says a developmental path is sustainable if the stock of overall capital assets remain constant or increases over time. So when we talk about economic growth, it should be like the resources, the stock of the resources either should remain constant, like they should remain at that basic level where still they have, or they should increase over the time. Then only we will be having the balance between the economic growth and environmental conservation, right? So reason is correctly explaining the assertion. So we'll go for option A in this. Now next question. Assertion says it is true to say that the environment crisis is a recent phenomena. It's a recent phenomena because we are continuously increasing the usage of the resources, which is now creating a problem for environment, right? Reason says in the present period, due to affluent consumption, rate of regeneration of resources by the environment is beyond the demand for resources. What does that means? प्रेजेंट पीरियड में जो हमारा कंजम्पशन, कंटिन्यूस कंजम्पशन है, व्हाट डज दैट शोज कि रेट ऑफ रीजेनरेशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेस बाय द एनवायरनमेंट, जितना रेट ऑफ रीजेनरेशन है वो बियॉन्ड है. किसके बियॉन्ड है? डिमांड ऑफ रिसोर्सेज के. डिमांड ऑफ रिसोर्सेज इज मच मोर देन द रेट ऑफ रीजेनरेशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेज. सो रीजन इज ट्रू, assertion is true, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Next question. Assertion says sustainable development is the development that meets the need of present generation without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. This is the proper definition of sustainable development, that okay, we are using the resources, but we should not compromise the need of future generations so that they can also use the resources, right? Reason says conservation and promotion of natural resources is a mandatory part of it, means sustainable development. So reason is the correct explanation of assertion. So we'll go for option A in this. Next question says environmental degradation owes a great deal to supply demand reversal of resources over time. Now what does that supply demand reversal? It means right now our demand is more than the supply of the resources. It should be reversed, that the supply should be more than the demand of the resources. So it is true. Reason says global warming is wake-up call to save environment. Recently you must be knowing the incident happened in Chamoli. That was the glacier, broken glacier, and in past few years we have gone through all these things. So because of the melting of the glaciers, what what consequence we are facing, that there will be increase in the sea level. So if the sea level will be increasing, whole earth can be covered with water. So that is the last consequence which we will be facing if this global warming is going to continue. So that is harmful for us, right? So what we have to say is, reason is true. Reason is true that global warming is now a wake up call to save environment. Assertion was telling about the reversal of the demand and supply of the resources. So both the statements are true in themselves, but reason is not explaining the assertion. So we will go for option B in this. Next question. Assertion says the environment is able to perform its four functions. Now see, what are the four functions of environment? It is supplier. Supplier means the supplier of resources. This is the first function of environment, supplier of resources. Then second function is the waste absorption. The environment is absorbing the waste which is produced by the human being. Then third function is giving the aesthetic services to the people. And fourth is providing biodiversity and providing genetic environment to produce human beings, or the living beings are producing the young ones, so without any interruption. This all happens because of the environment. That's why the life is possible on earth, right? So assertion is telling that the environment is able to perform its four functions without any interruption. Reason tells that the rate of regeneration of the resource in the environment is zero, which is false. अगर rate of regeneration zero हो जाएगा, then we are going to finish the stock of the resources and the life will become zero, right? So assertion is true and reason is false. Next question. Assertion says the opportunity cost. I hope you understand the meaning. Opportunity cost is the cost of next best alternative. So here when we are talking about the environment, while we are using the resources of the environment, opportunity cost means where we are using those resources, that should be having a positive impact on the environment, right? So the opportunity cost of negative environmental impacts are high. But as we all facing this environmental crisis, that means the opportunity cost of negative environmental impacts, मतलब जो environment पे negative impacts हो रहे हैं because of the excessive uses of resources is high. So this is true. Reason says global warming and ozone depletion also contribute to increase social commitments for the government. Social commitments, no, false. This is financial commitments. Financial commitments are increasing because government has to spend its own resources for saving or for improving these problems, है ना? So they have to work upon it. So global warming and ozone depletion जो है, they are the financial commitments. And when we talk about the opportunity cost of environmental negative, that is a true statement and reason is false. So we will go for option C. Next question, sustainable development as meeting the basic needs of all and extending to all the opportunity to satisfy their aspiration for a better life. What is sustainable development? Meeting the basic needs of all, right? And also extending the opportunity to satisfy their aspiration for a better life. All are having the aspirations to have a better, hygienic, clean environment so that we can have a better life. Now reason says the present generation should bequeath a better environment to the future generation. That is also true. Then only the future generation will be able to survive on earth freely as we people are living. So reason is the correct explanation of assertion. So we will go for option A in this. Next question, assertion says economic development puts greater pressure on the environment. Economic development जो है, whatever development is going on in the economy, that is definitely leading a pressure to the environment, right? No doubt. Reason says the world faced with increased demand for environmental resources, but their supply is limited due to overuse and misuse. Because we are overusing as well as we are misusing the resources, that's why it is leading to environmental crisis. So both the statements are true. Economic development is putting pressure on the environment, and also the world is facing all these problems because the supply is less than that of the demand of the resources, but they are not explaining. Reason is not explaining the assertion. So both the statements are true, so we'll go for option B in this, that both the statements are true but reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. Assertion says deforestation is rising at such a rapid scale that it has totally disturbed the ecological balance of the country. Now what is deforestation? Cutting down of the trees, right? When we are cutting in them in lots, when where the cutting of the trees is more than the plantation or reforestation, right? So deforestation is rising at such a rapid scale that it has totally disturbed the ecological balance of the country. Why? Because see how trees are helping us. They are absorbing the harmful gases, that is CO2, and they are giving us oxygen. So when we are cutting down the trees, they are definitely changing the environment, the presence of the gases in the environment. So it is disturbing the ecological balance of the country. That is a true statement. Reason says deforestation is one of the major reason for soil erosion. That is also true. बट सॉइल इरोजन यहाँ पे डिफॉरेस्टेशन का एक रीजन बताया गया है, असर्शन में एक रीजन बताया गया है. बोथ आर ट्रू लेकिन बोथ आर नॉट द connected statements. So reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. So we'll go for option B. Next question. Environment has an important function of supplying resources, both renewable and non-renewable. So we have already discussed that environment has 4 functions. One of that is supplying resources, both renewable and non-renewable. Now reason says environment is able to perform its functions as long as demand of these functions is within the carrying capacity. So already I have explained you this. Both the statements are true, but the reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. Now assertion says shifting to horticulture has reduced uncertainty of income of the farmers. Now this is related to horticulture, which is another. See, in rural development we had discussed this topic, which is the another way of earning for farmers or for the villagers who are there in the rural areas. Reason says there is a significant rise in income of the farmers engaged in horticulture. So whoever is going for this option, there is a significant increase in their income. So both the statements are true and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Next question says sustainable development is unavoidable. We cannot avoid it, because then what the future generations are going to use, they will not be having the enough or sufficient resources to survive in the economy, in the environment, right? Reason says environmental crises are on their peak. That's why we have to go for sustainable development in the economy. है ना? So both assertion and reason are true and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. So we will go for option A in this. Alright, now we are starting with case studies or report based questions. There will be a report given to you in your question, that may be from your textbooks, that may be from any news. So what you have to do is you have to read that extract very carefully, and then you have to go for the questions. That questions may be directly from the extract which is given to you in the paper, or that may be from the chapter which you have read in your textbook, right? So let's start. Report 1 says when we think of the environment, we generally think of the natural environment that surrounds us, the air, water, and land, as well as the diversity of plants, animals, and other organisms that inhabit our planet. It includes renewable resources such as timber, fisheries, non-renewable resources such as minerals, oil, and gas. Natural ecosystems serve a variety of functions that provide people with necessary and valuable benefits. For example, ecosystems provide clean water, maintain healthy and productive soil, pollinate wild plants and crops, and provide materials like wood and natural spaces for recreation. These are referred to as ecosystem goods and services. We could not survive without them. The built environment includes both the buildings in which people spend their time at home, school, workplace, all buildings, okay, and the broader built environment of human settlement like villages, towns, suburbs, and cities and related infrastructure. Human beings are not immune from the effects of negative changes to the environment. A variety of pollutants are emitted from resource development, industrial processes, vehicles exhaust, agricultural activities, etc. While they degrade the quality of the environment, exposure to pollutants can also lead to a number of health impacts. These range from minor problems to premature death. We are also affected by our built surroundings. Environmental conditions inside buildings where we live, work, and play can also play a significant role in the health and well-being. So in this paragraph, what we have done, we have studied about the types of the problems which can be created by the build-up environment and the natural environment, the things which were related to that. So let's see question number 1, which is match the following. What we have to do is, column A says birds, animals and plants, forest, fisheries, etc. And option B is air, water and land. So when we talk about this, see, I hope you all understand the meaning of biotic elements and abiotic elements. So when we talk about biotic elements, these are the living things like birds, animals. So option A will be matching with 1 and option B will be matching with 2, because air, water and land are the abiotic elements of environment. So both are given in a correct form. Now, during the rising population of developing countries and affluent consumption and production standards of the developed world, many resources have become extinct. True? And the waste generated are beyond the which capacity? Absorptive capacity of the environment. Right? Next question says, opportunity cost of negative environmental impacts. First part is huge expenditure on technology and research to explore new resources to reduce the increased incidence of respiratory and waterborne diseases. This is true. Negative impact है ये हमारा of using the resources. Second is increased financial commitment. Financial commitments बढ़ गए हैं government के. Third is rising health expenditure for the government due to global warming. So all of the above are the impacts, are the negative environmental impacts. Right? Next question, global warming is caused by. Global warming किसकी वजह से हो रही है? First option says greenhouse gases, which is a major reason of the global warming. Hot climate is a consequence. Oxygen is nothing. Oxygen itself cannot be a reason. None of the above is wrong. So we'll go for option A, greenhouse gases for it. Now let's see report 2. In recent years, awareness of the harmful effect of chemical-based fertilizers and pesticides on our health is on rise. Conventional agriculture relies heavily on chemical fertilizers and toxic pesticides, etc., which enter the food supply and penetrate the water resources, harm the livestock, deplete the soil, and devastate natural ecosystem. As well as they harm our lives also, because we are also consuming the things. Efforts in evolving technologies which are eco-friendly are essential for sustainable development, and one such technology which is eco-friendly is organic farming, where we are only using the biofertilizers, those manures where we are least using the chemical fertilizers or not using the chemical fertilizers. In short, organic agriculture is a whole system of farming which restore, maintains and enhances the ecological balance. There is an increased demand for organically grown food to enhance food safety throughout the world. So again we are going back to the usage of the organic products, right? You might have seen the products availability in the markets also. So people are going again back for the usage of organic products. So let's see the questions. In context of sustainable development, which of the following is or are the strategies to achieve it? How can we achieve the sustainable development? So option A, use of sustained methods of farming, use of biopest, use of natural manure, all of the above. So all of the above is the correct option. We have to go for all these things, then only we will be able to have the sustainable development in the economy. Now next question, green revolution was a major reason of rise in the productivity of farming. What are the advantages of conventional farming methods? So what are their advantages? We get higher output, that was cost effective, that has a wide range of products. So all of these are the correct options for the, means these are the advantages of the conventional farming methods. Next question says, dash is more popular non-farm activity after farming. I hope you all have read about pisciculture, that is fishing, right? So pisciculture is more popular non-farm activity. We can name any of that. Then dash helps in maintaining ecological balance. So usage of organic products helps in maintaining ecological balance, because with the least use of chemical fertilizers we will be able to maintain the ecological balance through soil. That will be helpful for us, that will be helpful for livestock, that will be helpful for the animals who are living in the like aqua animals, so that, because the see the chemical fertilizers which we are using, that can be going to the water bodies also, that may harm them also. So that will be helpful in maintaining ecological balance, organic products. Report 3 says sustainable development means the development with regards to sustaining the life of the present generation without depriving the future generations of their needs. This is a new concept in development and is very essential for lessening the environmental degradation. The concept arose due to the increase in pollution. As with the greed of the people, they started to exploit more of Earth's resources, leading to land degradation and pollution. The excessive use of non-renewable resources caused a major threat in the environment and biodiversity, that is both abiotic and biotic factors were at risk and were depleting. Not only that, the global temperature of the earth increased and the greenhouse gases were emitted from the industries and vehicles, causing the earth's average temperature to rise many folds every year. In the Paris Climate Agreement, it was decided that the rise in temperature is not be more than 2%, but looking at the amount of pollutants released by major economies like India, China and US, it seems a distant dream. So all countries are equally working upon it. The main concern with India and China is that they have to develop their economies. So the airborne emission is increased due to the development processes of making infrastructure. Thus, there is a situation of paradox for the countries as they want to develop, which seems impossible without emitting carbon or any other greenhouse gases. It seems the sustainable developmental goals to a distant dream. So it is becoming very difficult. Now, the essential condition for sustainable growth is protection of the natural resources, true. Pollution free growth, true. Quality of life should be better, true. So all of the above is the correct option for this question. Out of the following, one is non-renewable. I hope you understand the meaning of renewable and non-renewable resources. So forest, water, sun rays and coal. Coal takes lots of time to get renewed. So that is one of the non-renewable resource. What is a gradual increase in the average Earth's temperature due to the greenhouse gases? This is a proper definition of global warming. Gradual increase in the average Earth's temperature due to the use of greenhouse gases, right? To which type of infrastructure? Transport is related. Transport किससे related है हमारा? Economic infrastructure से, social से related नहीं है. So option A. Now report 4, environmental crises are not tackled with the same aplomb. Just like the pandemic, pollution causes different kinds of damage which cannot be expressed with a single measure. There are clearly double standards. Why do governments refuse to invest as much in the environment as they are prepared to invest in the fight against COVID-19? Our perceptions of crisis are influenced by 4 types of bias. What are this? The first bias is the identification of the victims. COVID-19 victims can be easily identified, whereas the victims of pollution cannot. Symptoms tells us about the victims, right? Pollution's effect on public health is diffuse and causes statistical victims. The second bias is socio-economic. Both COVID-19 and pollution have a disproportionate effect on the most vulnerable populations. However, COVID-19 is more of the threat to the elite than pollution. The virus has affected powerful heads of state and wealthy business leaders. On the other hand, climate change and biodiversity loss do not threaten the elites directly. Why? Because they can have the measures, they can use more measures than the poor people. Since the elites have a privileged voice in the public debates, their interest is over represented. The third bias is special optimism. We are under the false impression that environmental crisis occurs in remote countries. No, it has the almost equal impact on every country. Europe and North America were also victims of the bias with COVID-19 in January and February. When the epidemic appeared to be limited to Asia, the last bias is temporal. The pandemic was sudden and called for emergency measures. In contrast, environmental crises have been reported for decades, but still we have not taken any strong measure to control over this. Too often they are seen as upcoming events rather than disasters unfolding before our very eyes. Consequently, we have grown used to the bleak predictions made by environmentalists. In fact, they are now part of the background noise in public debates. Although environmental degradation calls for immediate corrective action, it is no longer perceived as an emergency. It has now become our new normal. So, still we have time to have control over these environmental crises. Otherwise, they all will be leading to the problem, just like the pandemic which we have just seen or which we are going through. That will be definitely leading to increase in the number of deaths. That may be leading to increase to reduce the average age of the people, right? So let's see the questions. Name few environmental crises the world is facing. I hope आपको अब सब समझ आ गया है. Land degradation is one of the problem. Pollution is one of the problem. Ozone layer depletion and global warming, where we are using more of the greenhouse gases. Now, the main reason of environmental degradation is neglection. True? हम neglect कर रहे हैं चीज़ों को. Continuously we are getting the warnings from decades, but we have not taken any major step to improve it or to reduce it. So that can be the neglection only. True? We can deal with environmental degradation by, how can we deal with environmental degradation? How can we deal? We have to have the sustainable development in the economy, or we should have the immediate corrective actions. What is special optimism? When we believe that the country which is exactly facing the situation is not going to have any impact. See, if one country which is very distant away from us, if they are facing the impact of global warming, it will be wrong to assume that it is far away from us, so we will not be getting affected by that. No, which is very false. So that was it. I hope you all understand all the questions. Still, if you have any problem, you can ask. Sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so
Yes, ma'am.
much.
Thank you so much
For sparing your valuable time and joining us on this platform to discuss the assertion region and case study question from the particular chapter assertion region and uh, environment and sustainable development. So, hopefully, our students who have joined today's session or who will watch this session later on, definitely they will be benefit from this particular session, and they also the students also can watch this the other sessions on the same platform in the playlist of this channel. They also can get the PDF from the one mark solutions by sending a message on the WhatsApp to the one mark solution. The numbers given in the site slides, and I have already posted the link for the certificate. They can fill the feedback form and they can get the certificate there in their email ID. Tomorrow we will discuss the microeconomics chapter unit 2 session region and case study with the Madam Silpi Taneja on this platform, and kindly share this video with your friends and with your batchmates, and also share about this platform to your juniors, because we are conducting sessions from class 6 to class 12 for all subjects and all chapters. Thank you so much. Thank you one and all.